I just wanted to say hi to
Shut up. Face the wall. Turn around. Turn around.
But this wasn't a real fight. He was pulling punches. He wasn't giving it his full effort.
Yeah. And you weren't really sparring. You were fighting. We were fighting all the time. And just guys getting dropped all the time. And that was just the kind of gym that I was in.
When the dust settled after the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua bout, the silence wasn't born of awe. It was born of a deep, unsettling confusion. Joe Rogan, a man who has seen more blood and grit in the octagon and the ring than almost anyone alive, didn't come out talking about pay-per-view numbers or influencer growth. Instead, he issued a warning so grim it felt like a eulogy for the sport's integrity.
You can't think, you can't do things, you don't know what the fuck you're doing in life. It's like literally everything is the quality of your ability to think. And
Rogan's message was a visceral gut punch to the celebrity boxing era. No amount of clout, no mountain of money, and no social media milestone is worth a permanent seat in a neurological ward. He wasn't just talking about losing a fight. He was talking about the irreversible erasure of the self. Boxing at its elite level is a game of millimeters where the prize for a mistake isn't just a loss. It's a traumatic brain injury. Rogan...
I've seen the script, rigged, this, that, and the other. Do you think now, at the very least, that talk goes away? Broke his jaw, went in there against Anthony Joshua. At the very least, do you think that you guys can move on from that? Like, that won't follow you?
No, I don't. I actually, our lawyers are actively going after a number of people. One who claims to be a lawyer himself online. I don't remember the name or the handle, but it was something that had like 200,000 likes. And basically this post said there was an agreement for AJ not to knock out Jake, but AJ disregarded the agreement and decided to not get his payday, but knock out Jake Paul. So it's pretty astonishing what people say. Your dear friend Lou DiBella, saw him put up a bunch of ridiculous things and even said, Nikisa, go ahead and sue me. But this wasn't a real fight. He was pulling punches. He wasn't giving it his full effort.
And so for the people, again, just to clear this up, because I asked Eddie this question, I'll ask you the exact same question. Once and for all, was there any sort of arrangement as far as it should go this many rounds? Because that's the one that I've heard. Oh, Anthony agreed to 3 rounds, 4 rounds. Can you tell us in black and white if there were any talks of any kind between the network, the promotion, the fighter?
There has never once in Jake Paul's career been any talk of that sort, of anything to do with the fight being anything but a real fight that has exactly the same situation as any professional fight. And that's exactly the same thing here for the Anthony Joshua fight. It's just beyond mind-blowing that people would think that. Anthony Joshua was on record saying that if he didn't finish him in the first round, that would be disappointing, that it would be a failure. The narrative changed as we got closer to fight night and obviously post-fight, and I understand why, but
Rogan's intensity here is backed by the hard science of impact. When a heavyweight like Anthony Joshua lands, the force transmitted to the skull can cause the brain to collide with the interior of the cranium, leading to axonal shearing and long-term cognitive decline. Rogan's plea for Jake Paul to reconsider his path is rooted in the reality that you cannot play boxing, chasing fame through manipulated or scripted fights. If the rumors are to be believed, is a dangerous game because the physical physics of a punch cannot be scripted. If a punch lands wrong or if a scripted sequence goes off book, the consequences are final. Rogan hammered home the idea that once your ability to think is gone, once that quality of life is compromised, the fame you bought would have become a cruel, hollow joke. The atmosphere grew even more toxic as rumors of a script began to flood the digital landscape. The narrative was explosive, that Anthony Joshua had agreed not to knock out the YouTube star in exchange for a massive payday, but eventually disregarded the arrangement because Paul's technical flaws were so glaring he couldn't help but land. Nikisa Badirian, the architect behind the Paul business empire, didn't just deny these claims. He went on a scorched-earth legal campaign. Badirian characterized these theories as astonishing and wild, specifically targeting viral posts that claimed Joshua was holding back to satisfy a contract. According to the Paul camp, every second in that ring was authentic. They argue that Paul trained with the discipline of a monk and faced the risks of a soldier. To Badirian, the suggestion of a fix isn't just an insult to the fighters, it's a legal liability. The team is reportedly tracking down individuals spreading these demonstrably false narratives, including those with hundreds of thousands of likes, to protect a brand that is built on the premise of disrupting boxing, not faking it. Yet, for many skeptics, the visual evidence of the fight told a different story, one of a world-class predator playing with its food. Matthew Stern's analysis of the fight offers a more nuanced, professional perspective that might explain why fans felt like they were watching a rehearsal. He suggests that Joshua's team didn't need a script to control the pace. They used superior ring intelligence. The strategy was one of calculated aggression, a methodical dismantling where Joshua prioritized patience over a reckless first-round blitz. In professional boxing, controlling the center of the ring and managing the distance is a form of psychological warfare. By not ending the fight instantly, Joshua was able to test Paul's stamina, expose his footwork deficiencies, and maintain complete dominance without exerting his maximum physical output. Stern argues that this methodical style is actually the hallmark of a true professional. It's about ring IQ, the ability to dictate exactly when and where the action happens. To a casual observer, Joshua's restraint might look like he was carrying Paul, but to a tactical analyst, it looked like a masterclass in risk management. Why risk a lucky counterpunch by rushing in when you can systematically break a man down over several rounds? However, this art of boxing explanation doesn't sit well with everyone. Adam Catterall entered the fray with a much more cynical take. He pointed to the massive meritocracy gap currently swallowing the sport. In his view, Paul's rise is a product of social media algorithms, not athletic achievement. Even as Joshua was restraining himself, the sheer difference in class was so immense that the fight became unedifying. When an Olympic champion shares a ring with someone who has 11 fights against non-traditional opponents, the resulting spectacle threatens the very credibility of the sanctioning bodies involved. Sam Jones, another voice from the heart of the boxing community, focused on the uncomfortable nature of the viewing experience. He noted that Paul struggled with the most basic building blocks of the sport. While Paul is undoubtedly putting the hours in the gym, the natural talent and ring IQ simply weren't there to match a titan like Joshua. Jones pointed out that Paul's defensive lapses, dropping his lead hand, stagnant head movement, and a complete lack of pocket awareness made the fight look like a mismatch between a pro and a hobbyist. This is where the choreography rumors find their fuel. When a fighter is so clearly outclassed, any moment where they aren't getting knocked out looks suspicious to the trained eye. It creates an uneasy atmosphere where the fans feel like they're watching a curated experience rather than an authentic contest. Perhaps the most haunting analysis came from Chael Sonnen. Sonnen, a master of the psychological side of combat, didn't see a scripted actor in Jake Paul. He saw a man in a desperate struggle for survival. He described Paul as an animal in a cage, navigating a visceral, primal fear. From Sonnen's perspective, Paul wasn't trying to win a boxing match in the traditional sense. He was trying to survive a life-threatening encounter. When Paul was seen dropping to his knees, clenching, or attempting double-leg positions, instincts more suited for MMA than boxing, it was a sign of a system under extreme duress. Sonnen's take is that these fights shouldn't even be sanctioned. When the skill gap is this wide, you aren't watching the sweet science, you are watching a dangerous experiment in human durability. The cautious approach Paul took, staying on the outside, running and clenching, was interpreted by some as a tactical choice to maximize entertainment without getting hurt. But for Sonnen and others, it was simply the reality of a man who realized, perhaps for the first time, exactly how much danger he was truly in. The rumors of scripting might actually be a coping mechanism for fans. It's easier to believe a fight is fake than to admit we are collectively paying to watch a man be dangerously overmatched for our own amusement.